I tried on a pair of 200. Still didn't work. No matter. And I got closer. I tried on the plus 225. Didn't run it. And it still didn't work. But the moment I tried on the plus 250, that's what the original number was. Once I tried on the plus 250, everything looked nice and I could read the word. God has prescribed to the church a pair of lenses.
Yeah. Talk about these lenses.
Lenses are the way we are to look at ourselves and the world.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, quite often the church has been wearing the wrong pair of lenses.
My God.
Many times we look at the world differently than we all look at the church. Many times, now, feast, we look at the world as if they are the biggest sinners and we condemn them and send them on the head.
My Lord.
That they the worst people in the world. But sometimes, brothers and sisters, sometimes the mess, the conflict, sometimes is not always out in the world. Can I get a witness in here? Sometimes the mess is in the church. Can I get a witness in here?
Yeah.
I might as well go and help me preach it. They ain't gonna get no better right here. But can I say it again? Sometimes we look at the world one way and we see that the world, they are jacked up, but we fail to realize that there's some jacked up people up in the church.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Many times, brothers and sisters, that's the reason why some folk don't want to come to the church, because sometimes, here are two things you hear from the world. They'll say that sometimes the church folk act like they're more holier than anybody else. Can I get a witness in here? I said all say amen to this one, brothers and sisters. Sometimes church folk act like they were born sanctified. That they were born with the Spirit, that they were born with the Holy Ghost. They were born speaking in tongues. They looked down their little nose at everybody else. Everyone is in here. And then other times, brothers and sisters, folk talk and say that the church is nothing but a full of hypocrites.
My Lord.
In church and will do something. Come on, somebody. Come on. Sometimes we jump high on Sunday. We cut the rug, cut the step, and speak. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We know how to have church, brothers and sisters. We know how to have church. Anybody know we know how to have church? People know. If nobody else know how to have church, people know how to have church. But let me tell you something. What good is knowing how to have church but can't go out and be the church?
Say that one more time, Reverend.
It's not about how much you can come up in here and jump, sprawl, hoop, holler, percolate, and boil. But brothers and sisters, what happens when you leave the church? Can I get a witness in here? We are instructed to be the light unto a world.
My Lord.
That is that cannot be hidden. And so Jesus says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good work and glorify your Father in heaven. Brothers and sisters, I submit to you today that sometimes in church we got people who get amnesia about where the Lord has brought us from. Some of us forget that we were somewhere up in the club trying to get our eagle on, trying to drop it like it's hot, let it down like it was warm. Some of us forget that if it wasn't for the Lord, we would still be somewhere on the phone.
My God! My God!
Somewhere smoking our stuff. Matter of fact, we wouldn't even be up. Is there anybody in here that can be real with me this morning and can say, I thank God I was a loose person, but the Lord has changed? Is there a witness in here that's not ashamed to testify? Listen, the things I used to do, I don't do as much. Can I get a witness in here? The places I used to go, I don't go as much because the Lord is changing my life. Can I get a witness?
Hey! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You preaching, man. You preaching, man.
He's working on me.
Yes, he is.
Everyone's here.
Yes, he is.
Look at your neighbor just right now. He's working on me.
He's working on me.
Yes, he is. He's
Working on me.
He is working. He's working on me. Listen, if you had caught me 4 or 5 years ago, you wouldn't have liked me. I probably wouldn't have liked you you, but the Lord is working on me.
Yes!
Okay.
My God. Work on me, Lord. Yes. Use a screwdriver.
Just walked right into a cantankerous called church. He's right into a church that he had established on his second missionary journey. And Paul had got some news from a person by the name of Cleo that there was some stuff going on in the church at Corinth. One of the issues was there was some factions, there was some division, there was this party spirit going on. You go from chapter 1 to chapter 4, here's what was going on. You had some members in the church of Corinth that said, I'm a disciple of Paul. And you had others who said, I'm a disciple of Apollos. And you had those who said, I'm a disciple of Peter or Cephas. And you had others who were so bold enough, they said, well, I'm a disciple of Jesus. And it's almost like, it's kind of like what we have in today's church. Some folk won't come to church unless somebody's preaching. I got kind of cold right here. I got kind of cold right here. Let me just say, park it right back and say it again. Some of us won't come to church unless our favorite preacher is preaching. Tell me what is in here. And we forget that it's not that one person plants, the other one waters, but it's God that gives the increase. It's not about the person that's delivering the message, but it's about the message that's being delivered. Tell me what is in here. All we are, and I said this before and I'll say it again, don't you ever exalt the pastor or the leaders more than you ought to. You reverence and you respect them because they are the servants of God and they are accountable for your soul. But let me tell you something, I put my pants on just like you. And you listen here, I get hungry just like you. And if it puts me every once in a while, I get attitude just like you. And you listen here. Listen, I'm so glad. And you want a pastor. You want a pastor that's real. You need a pastor that's transparent. That can tell you there's some days I'm ghetto. There's some days I'm jacked up on the. Can I get a witness in here? There's some days I don't feel like being bothered. There's some days that, listen, my head cold. Listen, I'm not polished, but thanks be to God. It's not about me, but it's the Holy Ghost that's working in and through me. Can I get a witness?
Yes! Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You preaching today, man. You preaching today, man.
There was another issue going on.
Yeah.
And this issue comes up in chapter 5, where we are now presently. It was such a bad issue that verse number 1, Paul says it's so bad that what the church was allowing and tolerating wasn't even being named among outsiders.
Oh, my Lord.
The issue, they had a man who was sleeping with his father's wife. Which was something that wasn't even being named among Gentiles or outsiders. And instead of the church, verse number 2, instead of them correcting the behavior, they boasted about their behavior. Can I get a witness in here? And what I discovered about the church is that we have two approaches as it relates to sin. We will either sweep it under the rug, or we will sit there and say it's quite okay, and act like everything when it's really not okay. And Paul says, listen, this behavior is too bad because what it will do is it will affect the whole of the church. It's like cancer. Once it begins, it will begin to spread throughout the body. So Paul says, when you are gathered in the name of the Lord Jesus, he says, deliver that person over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, but that his spirit may be saved. What he's saying is that, listen, you got to get rid of anybody that's not living according to the standard of Jesus. Can I get what is in here? Now I know we don't like to talk about exclusion from the body, but there's some people in church,
My Lord.
How are we to look at ourselves in the world? What, Brother Peace?
Yes, sir.
What is a proper view that you and I ought to have when it comes to ourselves and the world? When it comes to the world, are we to go out there and have picket signs and tell them they're going to hell?
No.
Are we supposed to be religious pickets?
No.
And act like we better than anybody else? Are we supposed to sweep stuff under the rug here? Do you want the answer?
Yeah.
Y'all didn't make. I said, do you want the answer?
Yes.
Here's the answer.
What is that?
That the church, first of all, must take responsibility for its own actions.
My Lord. That's deep there, Reverend. You up to your knees now, Reverend.
Let me say it again. I said that the church must take responsibility for its own actions.
Yeah.
Okay, verse 9 and 10. Paul says, now there was some misconception about a previous letter that Paul had written, and it's that letter is not in the New Testament, but it was a previous correspondence. Paul had wrote to the church and said, listen, don't hang out, don't intermingle, don't associate with sexually immoral people. Here's what they did. They began to detach themselves from the world, but they allowed stuff to keep on in the church. This is what they did. They said, well, we're not going to hang out with the world but we're going to let stuff go on because at least we're Christians. We know Jesus. And if we mess up, Jesus will forgive us. This was their attitude. But Paul says, I wasn't talking about the immoral of the world because, well, if I was talking about them, if you are to separate from the world, then you would cease to exist. See, God has not called us out of the world. He's called us to go to the world. Let me see if I can make that clear. Jesus says, go ye to all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Listen, you can't effectuate change if you are only in behind the four walls of the church. That kind of go right there. Let me say that again. You can't help nobody. You can't impact nobody if all you do is come to church on Sunday. Can you get witness in here? Brothers and sisters, we are called not to be like the world, but we are called to go to the world and tell them about a Jesus who is able to change lives. Says, if I told you, he said, if you were to go out of the world, he said, if you were to separate from the world, you would have. See, and the problem with the church today, brothers and sisters, is that many of us we're so wrapped up in what goes on inside the building.
My Lord, my Lord.
We're wrapped up in what goes on in the church, and we're trying to make the church this and that, and nothing wrong with making the church this and that, but we got to realize that there's a harvest out in the community that needs to hear about Jesus. Can I get a witness in here? Paul says, here's what I meant. He says, I wasn't talking about the folk that's in the world, but here's what I'm talking about. Now let me tell you, verse 10, don't hang out with people who call themselves Christians.
Watch yourself, Reverend. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
Folk who classify themselves as Christians.
Yeah.
Shout on Sunday.
Yeah.
When is it here?